Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is coming round the corner next week. Why not we talk about the films before the third movie? I'm talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. This is a 2014 superhero film set in the MCU, and this film is directed by James Gunn. The plot is we see Peter Quill, Star-Lord, played by Chris Pratt, who stole this orb in this planet called Morag, and of course he's about to sell it, but it's not till he got arrested after some fight encounters with these other group of characters that he got arrested with, like Gamora and Groot and Rocket, and of course along the way with Drax. So they escape prison, and of course all had to team up because the person who's looking for this Power Stone or this orb, Ronan the Accuser, played by Lee Pace, is looking at it for not only want to get to Thanos, but he wants to wipe out Xandar. So it's up to the Guardians, must save the galaxy before he takes over. So what do I think of Guardians of the Galaxy I really love this movie. It's obvious I love this movie. Who doesn't love this movie? Because when this first announced back in 2012, I believe, at Comic-Con, where Marvel's announcing Phase 2 with Iron Man 3, Thor: The Dark World, Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Ant-Man. And of course, they announced Guardians of the Galaxy as the newest thing to be doing. And everyone's like, wait, what? Guardians of the Galaxy? No, that's not going to work. How are you gonna do a movie that nobody's going to see where it has a talking raccoon and a walking, talking tree? How is that going to work? But when this film came out, it was critically loved and it's a box office hit. Of course, the risk has paid off. And this film has grew as a fan base. Everyone knows the characters, the songs they have in that film is so relative now. Since you listen to now, you can't think of those movies. Let's go into it. Chris Pratt as Peter Quill, Star-Lord. Chris Pratt is a really good choice for the most part, because I know Chris Pratt is known for doing comedy, but he knows how to become an action star. But I think around the time he started becoming an action star, like he stars in Jurassic World, and he's done a few big blockbuster movies, and he's his name everywhere. I know everyone's getting sick of his seeing them in movies, but I still like Chris Pratt. I do. The hate now is getting uncalled for, but I still love the man. I respect him. When you do see him as a character, Peter Quill, as a young kid, he gets taken by these Ravengers, led by Yondu, who is played by Michael Rooker. Yondu, who is kind of like his father figure like him, but even though Yondu wants to kill him, because Ravengers want to see him kill him, but even though deep down we all know that Yondu has a soft spot for him and he doesn't want nothing happened to him. He does care about him, he just doesn't show it. Kind of similar to Tony Stark's father in the Iron Man movies or the MCU in general, where he doesn't really care, but he does, deep down he does care. Peter Quill, as a kid, he lost his mum from cancer, because we all know what happens in the sequel, how she get that cancer from. Well, if you know the sequel, you know who happens. We'll talk about that another time. Peter Quill, he's a likable dude, but he's also a bit of a jackass and a dickhead. He is, but he's a likable dickhead as he is now. Seeing him, he's just a really upbeat tune, and of course he listens to his Walkman with the music that his mother listens to, dancing around, especially the opening scene with Come Get Your Love, which probably the best opening scene over there. As far as the other characters go, we meet Gamora, played by Zoe Saldana. I think that's her name, Zoe Saldana, if I pronounced that name correctly. Gamora, who is the daughter of Thanos, and of course she does work with Ronan the Accuser. Gamora, she's a fine character. I really liked her. You get enough of her character and her backstory. Of course, you do get much how she wasn't really Thanos' daughter, and Thanos is not her father. He's just basically there because Thanos destroyed her home planet and of course killed half her people, including her mother, I believe. I'm correct if I'm wrong. But when you do see that in Infinity War, it does feel more impactful, which you know what happens now. Drax, played by Dave Bautista. Drax, he's basically like the muscle of the team, but he's also vengeful because he wants to kill Ronan because he killed his family, killed his wife and daughter, which is heartbreaking for him. But he does show his funny side. He's not like one of those characters like, oh, I'm such a badass, all I want is revenge and revenge. But he grew as a fun, likable character, but he does have some silly moments. Of course, he has this grudge on hate on Gamora first, but all the time he starts saying, this evil woman is my friend, especially hilarious. And Gamora's reaction. And of course, we have Rocket, Raccoon, and Groot. Rocket is voiced by Bradley Cooper, who is this hybrid or some kind of talking raccoon, but he's made by engineering by the character who soon we'll find out in Guardians Feed by his origin story. Rocket, he's such an engineering but weaponizer character, I believe. He builds stuff, but he's also has a bit of a temper. If people calls him a raccoon, yeah, honestly, if I ever call him that, it's not a good sign. I would never, ever call Rocket a raccoon. I'll just call him Rocket, but if you just call him Rocket Raccoon, he's going to go off his nut and wants to kill you or wants to throw a fit at you. I wouldn't. But for the most part, for the CGI and the way it looks really realistic. It looks like a real raccoon, even though it's just CGI, but using kind of real texture on the fur, which I believe James Gunn uses real raccoon fur to get the correct feel and give it the right details on him. And of course, Vin Diesel, yes, from the Fast and the Furious and all these big movies he's done. Vin Diesel as the voice of Groot. Groot is this just a humanoid tree that only says, I am Groot. It's the voice he always says throughout the entire movie, which everyone don't understand them. And people say, okay, we heard you. You said that 3 times, or you said it multiple times now. We know who you are, which is kind of funny but hilarious. But it's still great. Groot is such a great character. Yes, he's not the brightest character, but deep down he does show a bit of levity and a bit of humor, a little heart to it, which I do really like. As far as other characters go, we do have some side ones, like of course in Xandar, the planet where these Nova Corps, like these Nova Corps, which is kind of assumed, I'm guessing in the future we might get Nova. Who knows, we might not, but we'll see how the future goes. So if there's just more cosmic heroes in the future, who knows. Of course, we have Glenn Close as Nova Prime, who's the leader of the group, and she's only in it not as much, but you do get her. Still, it's nice to see Glenn Close and some other actors in the film, which is really cool. And of course, you have John C. Reilly. Yes, the guy who started in comedy films with Will Ferrell, like Step Brothers and Holmes and Watson, which we don't talk about that film. That film is shit as hell. But anyway, let's move on from that. But John C. Reilly, I do like him. He's funny. It's a funny guy. I respect him. I think he's a good actor enough to see him. James Gunn's directing is really great here. I think James Gunn's got the right balance of has some lighthearted, levity moments, but also has some heartwarming moments, and also when the film does take itself seriously, so he doesn't lose that any of those mentums. He just kept it in center, keep the core of it of the characters, and has some development and some heartwarming moments. And of course, other characters, we have Nebula, played by Karen Gallen, who's a Scottish actress. Well, since I'm Scottish, I'm from Scotland, of course. Karen Gillan as Nebula, yeah, she's fine. She's not that bad as a character, but she does grow as the sequel goes, and of course in Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, you do see her changing her character. She becomes a bit more likable, which I do like, which is awesome to see. We're glad she's grew as a character now. She's part of the team. We'll tell the sequels and throughout the MCU. The villain side, Ronan the Accuser, played by Lee Pace, he's fine, but he's not much to him. He's just another generic bad guy. He's just there saying, I want the power stone so I can take over Xandar, wipe them all out, and burn into his car. And of course, he betrays Thanos, not given the power stone after he took it from nowhere, from Gamora and the Guardians. It's just, wow. And even Josh Brolin makes an appearance as Thanos, which is, the moment I saw him, I literally went, wow. They're not joking. They're not holding back on it. The moment you see him, it's just, holy crap. Avengers is going to have a tough time fighting this guy. As far as the other characters of the Ravengers, like Yondu is a really cool character. He does grow. He does help out the Guardians at the end in the first film, and of course in the sequel. We'll get to that in a moment. And of course, all the other actors, they're fine. They have the funny moments. And of course, Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother, he's one of the Ravengers. Because how amazing he appeared in it, and because he became a team member, which is amazing. Which is, of course, he's another character. Is the character's name Raglan? Which I believe, yeah, I think it's Raglan. Correct me if I'm wrong, if I say that name correctly. As far as the team dynamics between the Guardians, the team dynamic of it, they're really great. All of them bouncing off one another and are getting a huge team up. Especially when they hold the Power Stone, defeating Ronan is just everything about it is great. I just can't complain. And of course, the music score is so memorable, especially the song theme goes da 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 da, which is kind of like a space opera theme, kind of like Star Wars or Star Trek, rolled into one with a Marvel logo on it. Just beautiful. As far as the songs go, the music choices that James Gunn put in this film, not only with Come Get Your Love or Ooh Child or Fool Around in Love with, and of course, the famous song that's been in this other trailer, Hooked on the Feeling, which is a song that's throughout the entire movie or trailer. Guys, I can't say anything else about this film. Everything about this movie, even the visual standpoint, is amazing. The visuals are, they have some really cool CGI. You have a mixture of practical, but yet with CGI background to make it look seamless, which I think that maybe people are just, I know a lot of people are worried about this one is going to bomb because it's got too much CGI. And of course, they're going to have that Green Lantern, quote unquote, but come on. This is how you do, DC, this is how you do space cosmic films properly. If Green Lantern can make something good out of it, I hope they do it correctly and not make it look bad. We'll see. We'll see. Bro, Guardians of the Galaxy, there's not much to say. This film is great. I love this film. I cherish it. Every time I watch it, it gets better each viewing. I'm looking forward to talking about the sequel. So, my rating for Guardians of the Galaxy is it's worth buying on 4K. It's worth buying on 4K. Tell me in the comments down below, guys. Do you love this film? Do you love it? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Or do you think it's alright? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm curious to know your thoughts. And of course, stay tuned for my review of Guardians 2. And until next time, guys, see ya!